Top of the morning, everybody. What's up? So I'm making this video because I have something interesting, like an interesting insight that I feel like I've come upon last night and even the night before, but maybe I'll save that for something else, or maybe I'll talk about it now. So last night I had a dream, and in this dream, it was actually more like early this morning. I had a dream. I'm not gonna necessarily talk about the dream because that part was not particularly relevant, but what was relevant and what is relevant is that, so in my dream, something was happening in a pattern form, right? And it was actually related to something that was happening in my real life that was going off in a pattern, but it was seeping into my dream. And so in my dream, I was thinking that it was this one particular event that was happening. And at first I was just like, oh man, this is crazy. Knock it off. But then eventually I was like, wait a minute, like it's like I woke up in my dream and I was like, wait a minute, this is not right. And I was like, oh man, I'm dreaming, so I woke up almost in my dream. I was like, I'm dreaming. This pattern wouldn't happen in nature. It would be something else. It would be more chaotic and it would be more random. So in my dream, I was like, I know that this is not real. And that's when I woke up in real life. And so and I wrote it down. I started to write my dreams down because I love my dreams and I find them, not every single one of them, but a lot of them are insightful. And to me, when I was writing this down, I was like, this tells me that when we're seeing patterns in our lives that are too perfect, and they're not coincidences, they're patterns, to me that tells me that this is not real. And I've been under the impression that there's a lot of illusion. This is the land of illusion. And a lot of the things that we think we're seeing are not real. But to what extent, we don't know. So when we're seeing these patterns, whether it's maybe numbers or whatever pattern that you can think of that's too perfect, it's a perfect pattern over and over and over again, that is an indicator to let us know that this is not real. This is a dream. Is it a dream? I don't know. But is it illusory and not base reality? Yeah, it's not. So that was a super cool insight that I got last night, which I enjoyed because I was like, it was a really funny dream too, actually. It wasn't anything heavy. It wasn't like a crazy dream. It was a super hilarious dream. And I was cracking up when I was writing it down because it was so hysterical. But the pattern was there. And that was my insight. So then I guess I'll talk a slight bit about what happened the night before. So I was sleeping, and I wrote it in a thing, but I don't know if everybody sees my post, so I'm just going to go over it briefly. I was sleeping, and I woke up, and I was like super thirsty. So what I did is I checked my phone, because I'm like, all right, well, if it's like 5 minutes before my alarm, I'm just going to get up. If it's like pretty early before my alarm, I'm gonna go get a cup of water so I can sleep properly for the rest of the night. So for whatever reason, and this was it's out of the way to go to my living room, but I was like, I want to go look out my front window. It was 2:40 in the morning. I was like, I want to go look out my front window. So I went, and my windows are huge. Okay, my windows are like 12 feet long from one end to the other. I have my whole living room is a giant window, right? Which I love. It's amazing. But so I had a great view of the street, the houses on the other side of the street, everything. And I was seeing they were like squares. It was a square shape, but it was like tapered at the ends. I posted a picture of something I drew, my best depiction. So it was these squares, and there was a bunch of them. there was a bunch of them, and they went from street level all the way up in like a wall. They weren't, you know, multi-dimensional in the sense where they weren't like in the neighbor's backyard, and they weren't like, you know, in the the background. They were only on one plane going from street level up past the power lines. And they were blue and green or turquoise, and they were like iridescent, and I can't really count how many of them there were. So I'm like looking, and I was like kind of half asleep. I'm not gonna lie, I was like kind of half asleep. So I'm like rubbing my eyes. I'm like, is there like, what's going on, you know? And they were all separated. It wasn't like they were a solid clump. They were all separated, different sizes. Squares. They were essentially squares. If you flip them though, they kind of look like a star. Like if I was looking at them from a different angle, I might think they were stars. To me, they look like squares, but they were more curved on the edges. And the points were much pointier, if that makes sense. So they were blue and green, iridescent or like oil slick color. So I'm rubbing my eyes and I'm looking, and I'm like, I gotta go back to bed. Like it almost felt like a dream, because I was very tired. I was just, you know, walking around my house, I guess. So I went and I got my and you know, if I didn't do so many details after this, I wouldn't even know if I was dreaming. But so I went to get my cup of water, looked out the window again, they were still there. Then I went and I laid down. And then like a couple minutes later, my dog, who sleeps with me, woke me up, and he was signaling to me that he had to go out. So I was like, oh great, you know, I just want to go back to bed. It's almost 3, I gotta wake up in 2 hours. So I put him out, I go back to the window, and they're still there. So now, I didn't look at the clock after this until 3 o'clock, when I was like in bed again, like, you know, just after 3, whatever. So my dog is outside, and I'm just staring at the window again. Now by this point, I'm more awake. I'm more alert. I'm not, because I've been up for, you know, 10, 15 minutes at this point. And I'm just staring, and they are there. They are there. They are blue and green squares with the same pointed edges that were kind of making like, it was like semicircle squares. I don't know. You would have to go look at the picture I drew, because I can't fully describe it. Or maybe I can, and I am, and I just don't know. I don't know. So then I go to get my dog in, because I can hear him like shuffling around in my carport. I go get my dog in. I look out the window again, and now there's less though. So they're slowly like dropping off, or out of my field of vision, maybe, I don't know. So eventually, it's approaching 3 o'clock now, and the last one off to the left disappears. Right in front of my neighbor's driveway. Disappears. It's gone. I look at my clock, it's 3 o'clock on the nose. So I'm still kind of like, what? I'm still really tired. I still just want to go back to bed. So I do go back to bed. And I woke up. I was like, oh my God, I got to write this down. I have to draw a picture while it's fresh in my memory right now. And I had my cup of water that I got. Brand new cup. It wasn't like I used a new cup, or like it's the same cup. It was the brand new cup of water that I got in the middle of the night when all this went on. But even still, like looking back on it, and not so much now because it's a day has passed, but when I first got up in the morning, I was like, oh my God, it seemed like almost like I was sleepwalking. But when you're sleepwalking, you do not remember it. You know, my husband used to sleepwalk. He didn't remember, and his cousin sleptwalk and like actually went out of her house, and there's no memory of it. So it was not sleepwalking, but it was almost like that. Like it felt like kind of like a dream in a way, but it was not a dream. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. So those are just 2 things. This video is going on 10 minutes, so I'm going to cut it. But I just wanted to come on and share that stuff with you guys because I found it super interesting. All right, peace out. I'm going to go do my stuff now. Have a good day.